During the time period between 1870 and 1900, farmers were lost in a changing world. Prices for farm goods dropped, railroad shipping rates increased, and mortgages became burdensome. A group called the Populists were mostly Westerners and Southerners who believed that the government put the Northeastern businessmen above the rest of the country. They believed that the people should have control over the government instead of the wealthy. Populists called for the free coinage of silver, a graduated income tax, the direct election of senators by the people, an end to protective tariffs and national bans, and a tighter regulation of railroad companies.
After the Civil War, many Americans returned to or began farming. But over the next decades, there was an overproduction of farm goods. With more supply than demand, prices plummeted lower and lower. At the same time, the cost of seed, fertilizer, and railroad transportation increased, leaving more and more farmers little money to support their families and still pay their debts to bankers. In protest, farmers began to organize political parties. Of them, the Populist Party emerged as the most powerful. The Populists supported an income tax based on earnings to support the government, rather than the tariffs then charged to farmers and businesses.
Here's a quick review of The Wizard of Oz, written by L. Frank Baum. Dorothy, the main character, lives on a farm in Kansas until a cyclone picks up her house and transports her to the land of Oz. Her house lands on the Wicked Witch of the East, and the Wicked Witch of the West seeks revenge on Dorothy for the death of her sister. Dorothy, desperate to get back home, follows the yellow brick road to the Emerald City to speak with the wizard. On her way to the Emerald City, Dorothy meets a scarecrow without a brain, a tin man without a heart, and a lion without courage. They all accompany Dorothy on her way to the Emerald City because they all want something from the wizard. Once they reach the Emerald City, the wizard refuses to help them until they bring him the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West. The Wicked Witch of the West is defeated when Dorothy accidentally splashes her with water. The wizard turns out to be a man from Kansas who landed in Oz after his hot air balloon crashed. He offers to return Dorothy home in his hot air balloon, but while Dorothy is chasing Toto, he leaves without her. Clicking the heels of her silver slippers and saying there's no place like home 3 times, Dorothy and Toto are transported back to Kansas. Dorothy then wakes up in her own bed back home. Finally, I'm going to discuss how the Wizard of Oz can be tied into the Populist era. Dorothy, a common person, is swept up by the cyclone from the drought in Kansas to the land of Oz. The cyclone represents a victory of silver forces at the poles. When she arrives in Kansas, Dorothy kills the Wicked Witch of the East, which represents Eastern money power and those favoring gold. She also frees the Munchkins, who represent the common people, from servitude. To return to Kansas, Dorothy must first go to the Emerald City, which represents the greenback-colored national capital. Dorothy wears the silver slippers in the original version of the story and follows the yellow brick road, showing the relationship between silver and gold. The Scarecrow represents the common farmer of the time. The Tin Man represents the common industrial worker during the time period. The Cowardly Lion represents reformers like William Jennings Bryan. The Wicked Witch of the West represents the mortgage companies of the time. Dorothy also causes the witch to melt using a bucket of water, which is ironic because of the drought the farmers were experiencing at the time. The Wizard, who turns out to be a fake, represents money, which holds fake power. Dorothy unmasks the wizard and, with the help of the Good Witch of the South, uses the silver slippers to return home. This symbolizes the strong support for silver in the South. After Dorothy leaves, the Scarecrow rules the Emerald City, showing the triumph of the farmers, and the Tin Man reigns in the West, representing industrialism moving west. As you can see, the Wizard of Oz represents the Populist era in many ways, which makes people question if that was the story's intended purpose.